Yeah.
but I'm sure it'll be fine. All right, let's see here. Okay. As soon as I turn the computer on, I see is 111. So
Oh,
one,
that's perfect.
it's been coming up a lot.
Yeah.
It really has. I'll go in and tag you on it later. Yeah, it's working.
Oh, good.
Um, yeah, the, it says one message, 11 notifications. It's 111.
I love that.
It's been happening a lot. Um, first of all, Karen, I didn't know that you've gone through so much or what you're actually going through. I know many people are, but yours is pretty intense. We don't need to speak about it. It's all up to you. But um,
Yeah.
even with whatever, first of all, let me welcome you back after several years on the Soulogy, and I'm really happy to have you here. I, I don't know about you, but a lot of things got deconstructed over the last couple of years, and it seems like we're coming out of it now. And
Yeah.
I slowed Soulogy way down from like 65 shows a month to 10 for about 2 years.
65 is
And
a lot.
but now we're coming back out. We're probably, you know, at about 40, 35 or 40 a month, which is still a lot.
Yeah, it
But,
is.
I guess my point was that, yeah, everybody's really, there was a lot of deconstruction and a lot of evaporation and disintegration and identity,
Mm.
you know. But
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
yeah, but what you said, right before we came on was like, yeah, but I'm still tapping in. I'm still talking to the beings. And I've found that I'm doing more than ever on intuition, spontaneity, instinct, gut feelings. And I came across you, I think it was on memories. And I don't know, it just jumped out at me. So I went to your page and started looking at your work and just kind of picked up the downloads from it. Then I kind of was taken back to the conversation we had the last time, which like I said, it's probably 5 years ago, maybe six,
Mm.
maybe.
Yeah.
Um, and so much has changed. And I know that through your work, uh, you've experienced all that in your own way and with the human things that happen in life.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
But I really appreciate you coming on with us to talk.
Yeah, I'm happy to be. I'm really glad to be here. I haven't, I know I need to get back out there, and it's been some time. So it's a wonderful opportunity to do that.
Mm.
And so I'm really grateful, and I think I kind of think it's set up. I'm pretty sure they did say to me, you need to come back at some point, just gently, and as you can, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, well, that makes sense. Yeah, there
Yeah.
is there is this um, the hands on the back thing, pushing
Mm.
pushing us out there in a new way, in a different way. Um, but I know that, and just to kind of refresh things, if if anyone, I put the full name in of your page, your professional page, in the title, and if anyone would like to see some extraordinary channelings, I don't know what you call them because they're not just drawings or paintings. There's a whole encoded message with each one of them, and they're very galactic, obviously. Very light being oriented, and they're very powerful. So I would highly recommend you go to her page. But just as a refresher, uh, how did that start for you, where you started to receive these uh, transmissions and then to put them on an image and everything else that goes with your work and that connection?
Yeah, it started a really long time ago, and it's gradually got more intense as time goes on. Um, so I first started waking up and everything, and reading books and doing all the things you do, that you did back then. We didn't have the internet much at all then. I don't even think we had it. But yeah, I was wanting to find out who my guides were and about the higher self and all that kind of stuff. And so I sort of was like guided to the right people. And I met somebody who said, "Oh, look, you know, you need to be painting guides with your art. That's something you can do." And I just thought, nah, I didn't believe her. I think I can't do that, you know. But yeah, I had a go at it. I drew my own guide. She just came in a vision. I just started meditating a lot, tuning in, connecting to the light. And I would just start going out, seeing all these beautiful visions. And when she came in, she was really strong, like, and really big too. Like her face is really big. And I just, oh wow, you know, I've got to paint this. I've got to draw this. It was just so beautiful, so you know, like a dream, but you're there. It's very vivid. And I just started recording all the things I was seeing. I kind of went on a reclusive period in my life where I just really isolated myself and wanted to just really develop all my you know, whatever abilities I had, and just really connect. I just felt that urge really strongly. So I did that for quite some time, and it just started to bleed through into all of my artwork, you know, over the years. And then I started drawing other guides for other people. And back when I started doing it, it was things like people's other past lives, you know, Native American guides. Maybe it wasn't all galactics at the beginning.
Hmm.
Even though my guides were high dimensional guides, but I wasn't getting many of those for other people at the time. And it wasn't until later on that I started getting the higher, or not say higher, but you know what I mean. I mean like the high dimensional beings come through. Um,
So,
Gosh, it's like thinking back, trying to, you know, remember all the different things that
so
happened.
yeah, because when I went to your page last week or whenever it was, that was one thing I couldn't remember, you know, everything from 6 years ago when we collaborated. But
I can remember
when I
much.
was looking at and I was looking at the dates even, and I was looking at the pictures, and they're not all the same, but there's a kind of a common uh, aura about them. And you mentioned the term high dimensional beings, and when you're talking about that, is it? And I know that's kind of hard to pin down, but you know, when you listen to the different narratives and the different retelling of people's stories, the mantid seem to be in that category, like the high dimensional
Yeah,
or even you know, tall white light beings. Sometimes they're not even really galactic looking. They're just, you know, light beings basically.
yeah,
But your guides are, and we'll just call them that. I mean, they're high dimensional beings, right?
yeah.
That,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Does that, I
yeah,
mean, does that have a strong or primarily a galactic flavor to it, or is there any other kind of attributes?
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I connect him with the elemental kingdom as well, the nature kingdom and the devas. And there's a level, there's whole dimensions and levels to that group as well. Um, and they've been coming in here and there as well lately. I've always
Mm.
had a pull towards them, but for quite a, you know, they come in and out. They're kind of like just suddenly arrive and then disappear, and that's how they are with me. But but yeah, the Galactics have always been there, really strong. Um, I first connected with them in the 90s,
Wow.
um, 93. I had a group of them come in really strong, and I don't connect with those same ones now. It's a different group, but that's okay. Either that or a different version of themselves, you know, because they can change.
Yes.
Um, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Um, yeah,
So they
and
could have had they could have had their own walk-ins and it's continued to
yeah,
expand.
yeah,
So you've had, I mean, were you having that level of paranormal or psychic experiences up to that point? Or they just came
yeah,
out of nowhere? Okay. You were.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was, yeah. They would meet with me and connect with me, and I'd meditate with them every day. They used to put me in a pyramid of light and align my chakras. I did start a little group on Waiheke for a while, channeling energy through, which was really nice.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so
Mm.
yeah, that was
Mm.
all happening around that time. A bit later on that happened, but yeah, they were there. And one of them in particular has stayed. He calls himself Anar. Um, he's slightly changed form a few times, but I always know when it's him. And he was there then.
Mm. So he's been
Yeah,
there. He's been there since the beginning.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
It's kind of overseeing everything, he says,
Okay.
in a way to the evolution, whatever process.
You mean what we're going through? Well, I guess what
Uh, well, yeah,
everyone's.
that as well, but our own evolution. I know, we have it's kind of hard to explain, I guess, but we have, the self that we know as you or I,
Right.
here in the physical, and then we have like multiple versions of ourself as well, in the different dimensions, and it's not future, it's all now, but on another frequency, on another level, all existing right now, and so I think people are waking up to that, and people are becoming more aware of that, um, over time. It's people are starting to become more aware of that, and these higher aspects are they're wanting to connect and open us up to the to knowing who we are really, not just this physical self. We're more than that. And I think for us, beings who have come here, for a purpose to help with the transformation, it's really important for those ones to have that connection, you know.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
there's heaps of people waking up to this at the moment. Like there seems to be a big awakening everywhere, doesn't there?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And especially since we crossed over that 12-year period ending on the solstice of last December. That
Mm-hmm.
was 12 years from the 2012 date, which I
Yeah.
never really thought about it. And then my soul came in and told me, hey, you guys are on the other side now. Like, you're not going to be swimming against the current anymore. You're going to be swimming
Yeah.
with the current, but it's going to take
Yeah.
some getting used to.
Yeah.
And then I know recently, and of course, like we said, this has all come, uh, I would say the latter part of that 12 years, like maybe the last year of it or year and a half of it. There seemed to be a mass acceleration in the shedding, in the personal revelations of ourselves, or taking responsibility or accountability. Like the universe has put a big mirror in front of our face and not allowing us to project and externalize. And so that seems to be like some type of preparation. And it feels to me like this summer, it's been, well, my soul came in and told me this summer is going to be hot. It's going to be
Yeah.
fires of purification. And of course, everybody's going through things, and there's the human side of it. There's just so many things coming to the surface. But one of the things that I've been hearing, um, and experiencing a little bit, I guess I would have to put that in there too, is this would be like maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks, maybe this month, that people are talking about embodying their galactic aspect,
Mm.
and
Yes.
in a way I've never heard before, like in a way that sounds very final, like final embodiment of that aspect. Not to say there's not going to be more and more and more, coming in, but does that resonate with you?
Yeah.
Does that follow with maybe, the connections or communications you've been having this year?
Definitely, definitely. It definitely feels like there's been an increase in that, and the information that's coming through around that too. Um, yeah, I've seen that too. It's and it's awesome, it's wonderful. Because I think for a time there, well, it definitely wasn't as much, people, there was still a lot of like, oh, that's crazy, who's all of that stuff. But now
Mm.
there's been a whole lot of like you say, preparation or opening up. Um, you even see that through the media, people talking about UFOs and science even discovering more stuff. And I just think, yeah, things are really accelerating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many kind of parallel threads, and as we kind of decipher between what's illusion and what's real and what's propaganda and what's
Mm,
truth. But yeah, you can definitely see that, through the mainstream, or even, you know, places that we would get information, which I don't trust any of them, like NASA. Like, how can,
yeah,
but
yeah,
the point is, it's still, there's still, it's coming. Like, you can feel it. There's too much going on.
yeah,
And to me, the evidence seems to be expanding for the personal communion or connection that people are having with these aspects. And the galactic has always seemed to be like the chief facilitator of this transition that we're going through, called ascension or evolution or whatever you want to call it. But they seem to be very prominent, very close to us, though there
yeah,
is an elemental presence, and there's an angelic presence and
yeah,
other presences, but the galactic seems to be front and center with
yeah,
us.
yeah,
Are you receiving? Because I know that you've been uh, having some personal things go on, but I also know that you're very consistent with your connection. That's a part of you, really, part of your lifestyle. Are
that's
you
right.
are you picking up any collective information from these conversations that that speak to what's going on now?
Yeah, yeah. I The last lot of information I heard was that we're being prepared for meeting up with uh, the beings that are coming, because I heard that, and this is kind of hard because for a long time I thought they wouldn't be doing this. I thought, no,
Hmm.
they're not coming to help us. We have to help ourselves. It's our own journey and all of this. But I had a visit from a being from who was described herself as from the Yahyel or something. I'm not sure how you say that.
Hmm.
Um, she but she said that she wanted to confirm that that there was a program running for the hybrid children. Um, and there's also a whole lot of propaganda around that. But she was saying that those beings that have participated in this program of sharing their DNA, they are going to be meeting up with those children, like that they are coming here to help assist mankind. And those people who do want to be transitioning forward, they didn't give me a date because they said they can't really do that. It's sort of reliant on the consciousness, and they'll arrive when the moment is right. So but they're definitely coming, and yeah, I was pretty blown away by that. I thought, wow,
So what you're
it's a
saying is
huge
that,
change, a huge
go-
shift.
yes, there's a little lag. I'm sorry, I wasn't interrupting you.
That's
Um,
okay.
so okay. So you're saying that they're coming,
Mm,
and that will be, I'm gathering, that will be in a physical, um, at least a holographic or a physical
mm,
kind of way. It's not just
yeah.
going to be through the third eye, or it feels
No, because
solid.
that's already happening. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And you're saying one of the purposes for them coming, if I'm understanding you correctly, is to support the hybrid kids, the ones that.
No, yeah, it's to introduce the idea that we're not alone,
Uh-huh.
and to help us wake up. to help
Right.
us, to help us move forward in the right way, the right pattern,
And so is who would be the high? I mean, I've obviously heard the term, and we know about the hybridization programming or programs. So I guess some can be seen from the light, and some can be seen from the fools of the world. But
yeah, yeah.
is it any of us that's in it that's in this container? Technically, are we hybrids? Specific to the Earth, where we've I guess allowed ourselves to be uh, to share our DNA and maybe to receive DNA. I don't know. To me, it's a little bit complicated, but is there a specific group of hybrid children, or is it all of us?
No, it's a group.
Okay.
Yeah, is that's the message that I received anyway. I don't think it's everyone. Um, I think it's specific people who agreed to do it. Um, I guess before they came in,
Right.
you know,
Right.
um, because not everybody's conscious of it. But yeah, yeah. So, I mean, we're all from somewhere else, right?
Right. Right.
Uh, Come in here, and we all have a purpose. Um, some of us don't know what it is. Some of us haven't realized. Many of us know. For some of us, it's unfolding, But yeah, I mean, it's an incredible thing to think about that'll be happening. Um, I still sometimes find it a little hard to believe, but because there's at times it looks like there's still a lot of resistance. So I don't know whether these ones will only appear to those who are open to it and
Right.
somehow not be visible to others, or how it's going to play out. But
Well, that would make
yeah.
sense. I mean, that would make sense. I mean, because many of us have experienced encounters with them, um, that have some level of visibility or even physicality.
Mm,
Certainly holograph, um, and and then others haven't had that.
mm,
But uh, I've met so many people doing this work that didn't, not the vast majority of them, but they didn't really have a choice. They just got a visit, and then things
yeah.
started. So it's kind of all over the board. But it's interesting about the hybrid children thing and the free will decision to share and participate. Because on one hand, you can look at it from a soul level, and a soul is a soul is a soul. And of course, it has many robes, and the experiences bring more robes. But then you have the container, which is somehow connected, through the DNA. Is that something that's just within the construct, or does it have some type of um, uh, influence or effect on our soul other than the experiential? So it's very interesting to me. But there's a couple of things that seem to be very imminent, and one of them was what I was saying about these people talking about this month, talking about their galactic aspect coming into them, like fully to stay. Let's put it that way, to stay. And then the other
Mm,
thing I look at, if I look at, several people's work over the years, one would be my friend Franco de Nicola that transitioned in late 21. He did a tremendous amount of work with this series Advancing Consciousness, which is fascinating. I would highly recommend it to anybody. It's on YouTube and Vimeo. But he was at the end of we did 52 shows together, and at the end of that time, the last two or three, four shows, he was speaking of this time. And at that time, the trajectory was now. It was like from this equinox that we just had uh, into 2027. And it
mhm,
looks like that's what's happening, and so then we have this other thing with this Atlas celestial object coming in and a
Yeah.
couple of other things happening on that regard. And even if it's just metaphoric, it's still energy. It's still
Isn't it?
symbolizing something. And
Mm.
so there's been some talk about that. And of course, with the solar flares and some of the natural uh, things that are happening on the earth, the earthquakes, volcanoes, that type of thing. It just feels like it's imminent. And I kind of felt like you, where I said, surely they're not going to come down here. Like, that's the whole thing. You can't interfere. You can't, uh, you know, encroach upon, this type of thing. But maybe they're a part of this thing. Maybe those
Mm.
aspects are us, like you said,
Yeah.
in another space and time, so to speak.
Hmm.
And maybe this was part of the plan all along, was to uh, for those aspects to come in and help us with the transition. A lot like, when you hear stories of people that have transitioned to the other side, and there's somebody to meet them, and they explain to them, "Hey, you were in this realm, and this is what was happening, blah blah blah, and you're not just Todd. You're so much more." Maybe it's something to that effect. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That would make sense. That would definitely make sense. I mean, because there is no separation really.
Right.
So, yeah,
And
yeah.
and do
I,
and do you have I'm sorry. Okay. It was a lag. Do you have I mean, your team, I'll just call them your team,
mhm.
even though it's evolved into whatever present form it's in, do you know their history? Do you have that kind of relationship with them, or is it more of they're teaching you or showing you things?
It's more like they're teaching me and showing me things. Yeah. No, I don't know their history. They say that they're interdimensional, um, and that our connections are often on the inner planes. And that makes sense to me because whenever I've, you know, been in the experiences that I have where I go out there, and when I say go out there, I mean
Hmm.
like, just in your third eye, in your not physically, but go out there. It's like in another dimension, another plane, and I'll see things and they show me and teach me things. But yeah, they're more focused on what's happening here and the energy,
Really?
really. And yeah, they're focused on that. They like the message, a lot of the messages they bring in, they're talking about the energy and the earth, and to connect, they're always saying to connect to the inner power, the inner self, the inner light, your energy, your essence, um, and talking about that higher aspect of you, which is,
Right.
this beautiful light that you are, that we all are, and to connect with that and not to forget that, to remember that. So their messages are about, those kind of things. They don't give me details about their particular planet, or
Right.
they say
Right.
they're not from a particular planet, but they've told me that I have access points. So, I have connections into a couple of different places, but they it's not like, oh, we're from
Right.
Pleiades, or
Right. Right. Yeah.
whereas I might see a Pleiadian aspect of one of them come
Right.
in, and
Right.
I'll know that's where they're from. You know what I mean? Because like
Right.
they say, no, we're multidimensional. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah,
that. Yeah, I agree
yeah,
with that. Yeah, when
yeah.
I experienced the galactic embodiment last week, and it was happening, um, I was kind of wondering, is it going to be, from this place or that place? But it was a multi-galactic. It was almost like all galactic aspects. And then the other
Wow.
thing is, like, with what they're telling you and their interest. Well, we can talk to a lot of people, and I have on the show over the years that all, like me and you, they all have this innate knowing of a call was made, and we came here to do what we came here to do. Which, if you think about what your team is telling you, they're basically telling you the same thing. It's just another layer up. So that, you know what I mean? That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I just wonder, you know, for me, for a long time on this show, talking about things like teleportation or growing younger or, instant healing or we are the med bed or, just these things that seemed, they were part of the messages that people were receiving in the transmissions and channelings. But
Mm.
now to me, it feels very real. Like to me, it's like, yeah, I believe I can be here a few hundred years. I believe we're going to see some amazing things. Because
Yeah.
if you just think of the energetic symbolism of what you were talking about, like that when we first started talking about it, and you said they're coming, they're going to be here. They can't tell me exactly when because it doesn't really work that way, but just imagine that impact on the consciousness of the world. That alone would eradicate so many things, and
Yeah.
immediately. It'd be like, and we've all had these experiences, when you're in the presence of such an extraordinary, higher vibrational energy, let's just say a being of light, an angel, it's beyond profound. I mean,
Yeah.
you weep, you get on your knees, you're in deep humility, gratitude, and I guess that's why the way the movies played out here on the surface with these, let's say, good actors, bad actors, and such, they try to copy, the universal, uh, and it's in a distorted fashion. I guess that's what you're seeing now because all the intelligence agencies that keep the secrets uh, are the wheels are coming off, and I don't know
Yeah.
about, yeah, you know what I mean? Like if I
Yeah.
was on that team, and I'm not judging, because I'm a soul, but I mean, I'd kind of be concerned about what's coming
Yeah.
because, the universal law is what goes around comes around. And that's just the way it is. So, if you get out of hand, you're gonna, it always has to come back to the middle and balance out.
Mm.
But it will be interesting. It's getting it's already very, very interesting this, as we come out of the summer. And
Yeah.
wow, this month was all right. It's not even over yet. I don't mean to be disrespectful because we still have a week to go. But this month has just been a like no other. Which we've said that many times before, but this is just like for me, it's been like a quantum dimensional timeline leap. Literally into another dimension.
Yeah. I can definitely sense as well as that, I can definitely sense weird things going on with time. Have you experienced weird
Yeah,
things happening with time? Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Um,
And
yeah,
even people who aren't awake to it are experiencing it as well.
yeah,
So, that's saying something. And I think, there's so many different subtle shifts happening at the moment,
yeah,
um, as well as the big ones,
yes.
as well as all the energy and all the chaos that's going on. And it's full on.
Yeah, that part of it, the chaos, even though you see it on the internet or this or that, the events, uh, I don't know. It's like for me, it goes in one ear, right out the other. Uh,
Yeah, I'm not
and
taking it in.
you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean, it's not even that
Yeah.
I have to try to, it just doesn't stick. It doesn't feel real. When I watch the dialogue, um, between even in light worker groups and stuff, uh, in regard to these events and situations, the polarization that comes forth. But I even see that and I go, well, it's got to come out. I mean, there's no sense in,
Yeah.
there's no sense in
Absolutely.
picking one side or the other or getting mad because they're not in divine neutrality. And that's just a judgment on my part. It shows you my narcissism or my superiority. I mean, we're drilling down to, there is no in between here. We've been given this information for 12, some less, some more, like you. years. And I guess, it's kind of like when the mother bird kicks the baby birds out of the nest and they got to start flying on their own. But
Definitely.
right, but the galactic part of it, um, that just the symbology of it, like that satellite, that Atlas thing or whatever. And I know I've had some specifically this month, had three or four or five different nights of lucid dreams, and we were on a ship, many of us, and we were all in white, and we were all heading to Earth. And I'm thinking, like, am I going to see my other me, like something like
There
that?
you go.
But I
Yeah.
mean, that's kind of the way, that's kind of the way it is. Or sometimes I think, well, because I've had dreams to this effect too, and visions of where, we're in stasis on a ship, and some of us agree to, put our body in stasis, and our soul is then transferred to a container here, something like that. But something about what we're doing here has to do with the final, the final part of it. Some people say it goes back 12,000, 13,000 years. I think there's a lot of evidence for that. But that basically it's kind of the, like they talk about the Kali Yuga, but, it's like the end of a cycle of all that contains all these other cycles.
Yeah.
Extraordinary, to even contemplate that a mass of people or souls would go through this together, which is usually done when you physically cross over, and there they are to greet you, and you have a life review and all that. But it's been a very telling thing, um, especially since the COVID thing happened. I think that woke up a lot of people, and it probably still is.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it did. Yeah, that was a big shakeup.
Yeah, and then I think you were saying too, like just imagine the impact of of it's really like our own little story. Like we all had the dark nights of the soul. Not
Hmm.
that we not that we still don't have little things, whatever, but a lot of times the trauma was in tandem with the awakening. Like I said, in my own case, I prove you could go crazy and find the light at the same time. Like, so there's this kind of a I don't know, two stream experience, and it's gotten uh, more and more depth to it now, and there's more and more code coming from it. Um, it's like, people talked about the earth splitting. Remember years ago, they said there's going to be four earths, there's going to be three earths, and there's going to be two earths. And I
Mm.
believe the splits happened in me. It's like, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
splitting. And the soul and the human are kind of like holding hands, walking step by step
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
No.
Yeah, 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 I hear what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I've talked to quite a few people. I don't know what you gather from it, but that you know these teams, these higher uh, vibrations, higher beings. That's what we decided to call them for the show, right? I mean, it's hard to explain that presence, but that they have great respect and reverence for what we've done and what we're doing.
Yeah, they do. They do. And I guess they see it from, they can see it from a different angle
Yeah,
than we can. And it's so easy to be here and think, oh, gee, just get me out of here. I just want to leave.
yeah,
I want to go back to where the light is, and I just, I can't deal. But if we could see the gift of being here and to actually be here to help the planet transform is a huge thing.
yeah.
Yeah, for
And
the soul to come and do that and
yes,
to experience that transition is amazing. It
well, and
doesn't
then
always feel like that at times, but you
right,
know,
we've all been there. I was there this
yeah,
summer about 10 times. I'm like, man, I can't take this anymore. I'm just like, this doesn't make any sense. But I think there is an energetic effect that's occurred. And again, I would go back to, like, let's say when COVID started. And as time has gone from there, which is kind of a weird term now, right? But, and that's this point where the individual says, I've had enough of this. I'm tired, and, it's been fun and it's been work. So just having that go off in people, you know, where they just say, I'm not accepting this. And I feel
Mm.
like that's what really pushed people these last 5 years. But
Yeah.
we have to get to that point. Uh, each person has to get to that point where they pull their head out of the cognitive dissonance. And we've all had it to different degrees, whether it be about a relationship or a person or a business or a world or whatever belief system. And I
Hmm.
think that's the big pill that people are having to swallow now. And
Yeah,
the only,
definitely.
I mean, because that's huge. That's sovereignty, basically.
It is.
And
It is huge. It's a challenge too. It's not an easy thing to do.
mm-mm,
But yeah, yeah, we're all working on it.
yeah,
Yeah, we all have it. It's yeah. It's let's say it's part of who we know ourselves to be. It's not
yeah,
the real self.
yeah.
So
Well, I think too, like you said, it's good for the soul. That maybe that's where the reverence comes from. Is that because many of us have recollections, certainly of past human lives, and some of glimpses of past planetary lives or other dimensions, whatever. But you know, in most of those cases, or at least from what I picked up from people and my own impressions, is we had uh, much more, if not all of our, you might say, memory intact or consciousness intact, where we were able to, bilocate or, pop in here like a dream. Go from scene one to scene two. And like you said, there is no time. You just go right back to scene one. When you go back there, it's like picking up where you left off, kind of thing. But to come into a space like this, where I don't know, less than 1% of your multi uh, dimensional consciousness on average was on, say before things started to turn in 2012. I know some people were different, but also to have total disconnect from source. Um,
yeah.
Now that's pretty amazing. Um, and that's, you know, like I think I know I heard this, and I've heard other people say it. Yeah, we agreed to come here, but we didn't, and we thought we knew what we were getting into, but we didn't. But we didn't
No,
really
we
know.
didn't.
Yeah.
We might not have come if we'd known. Yeah.
Well, it feels so
Well,
real.
we did know, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
different.
Well,
It's different, I guess.
we probably knew, and then said, okay, yeah, we'll do this, and then, you know, the glasses came off, or the glasses came
Yeah.
on. Well, I'm not really sure which way to go with that. But, listening to what they were telling you about, they can't tell you when because it's got to do with the consciousness. That
Hmm.
makes a lot of sense to me. It really does. And I remember listening to Franco talk about this time, and he said what's going to happen is people will not be able to latch on to anything. Like one by one, their beliefs and their et cetera, are all going to go away. And
Yeah.
then eventually get to that point where you say, I'm soul. I'm gonna experience the rest of my life with this mindset or something bigger, because all this other stuff doesn't make sense. But just look at everything. People, how many people do you know and I know that don't have a regular job that somehow or another all these years, you know, are making their way and provided for? I mean, that in itself defies, the norm
It
of this
does.
world.
Yeah.
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 I have a friend of mine that's in Australia. I think she's in Sydney or Brisbane. Um, and I know her very well, and I can't remember. Oh, Alicia Brochet. Have you ever heard of her? Alicia Brochet.
No.
I think her YouTube is Cosmic Gateway, I think. Fascinating lady, fascinating. And she was tapped on the shoulder by the galactic aspects years ago, and she had a specific purpose that she kind of shared anonymously for a long time until she made enough connections with women around the world, which had to do with basically energetic gestation, energetic pregnancy, this type of thing, and probably something that's difficult, I guess, for the human to really understand. But the reason I bring it up is because one time she, like many of us, like you were talking about, was going through it and, trying to serve the team and trying to serve humanity and trying to be a human being. And I think it was mantids, actually. I think two or three mantids came in to the room and they said, "Look, we got you, everything's okay." And she said, "Well, what about my emotional, what about that? What about my emotional health?" And they said, "Well, we didn't figure on that. We didn't count on that." And I remember when she told me the story, because I thought, wow, that's unique to us. You know what I mean? And now you see people learning to balance those emotions. And it
Mm.
seems like, which I think you can relate to, the channeling of that creatively, you know, uh, creating things, birthing things from that
Yeah.
power source that was kind of unbridled before, kind of, up and down and manic and, uh, depending on what was going on. But to me, that's a pretty interesting thing because I know my conversations that I have with my team over the years, I say to them a lot. And not that I don't get humbled quite often, but if I get too cocky, which hasn't happened in a while, but I'll say, look, I'm the boots on the ground here. I mean, I get it. I get clean living and I get this and that and this, but sometimes you just gotta let your hair down or drop an F-bomb or kick a
Yeah.
can. And
Yeah.
because we're here, we're doing this.
Yeah.
And I really feel like that's kind of what we're coming into. It's almost like the human species or human experiment is graduating, and we're going to take an equal seat at the table.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I was going to say something and it's completely gone.
well, that's what happens now, right?
Yeah.
Happens to me all the time. I just quit worrying about it, and I hear enough people say it too. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had
It's interesting.
Go ahead.
No, I was just what you were saying earlier about a consciousness and things needing to be ready for the consciousness and how energy can affect other energy, and especially the energy of the beings when they come in. I don't know about you, but like if I've experienced the beings coming in when I'm conscious of it, it feels like there's a whole lot of stuff that happens around that in my reality space. Things start kind of shifting, if you know what I mean, and like electronics won't work, or
Right.
the TV might go on, or and you can just actually feel like it doesn't feel normal.
Mm-mm.
Um, so there is a definite effect of when a different energy comes in to meet the energy of the physical. And yeah, I just wanted to mention that because an experience that I had when I was going to sleep, actually, when I had a couple of visitations. I had a series of visitations, but they were just wanting to really um, let me know that it's time to really start speaking. This is before I started doing a lot of my channeling on Facebook, and they kind of showed themselves to me, and it was sort of like they weren't physical, but I could see them, and the whole energy of the room was like electric, and I couldn't move. but it wasn't because I was paralyzed. It was because of the energy was so strong.
Mm, mm,
And you hear they say, don't don't be afraid. We're here to help you. We're here to show you who we are, and we're here to work on your energy field or whatever reasons they will come. But and it's just for a short period of time, and then they haven't been back, but because they didn't need to, I guess. But yeah, so so earth energy, we definitely have to be ready um to perceive these higher energies and higher
yeah,
beings,
yeah,
the consciousness. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Um, I've noticed too, like I think it's safe to say, not to differentiate, but just to speak, to the evolution that we've had, especially since 2012. But I think it's safe to say that uh, the vast, well, I know it's a fact, the vast majority of these groups, like Soulogy, have been the feminine in form. Their sensitivities to that part of us um, is higher, or and it's represented in them. Although we carry, a man will carry the same thing, but you know what I'm saying. Um, and then you have these type of things that you're talking about that start to take on or to affect the physicality or the consciously awake human being. I've had them. You have obviously had them. Um, but this is another thing that I've noticed this year, particularly this summer and even this month, and that is those things are leveling up. Like I've had two instances where I had just in the last 2 or 3 weeks where a like a funnel or a vortex started swirling around me. One of them I could see visually, looked like little plasma bubbles everywhere, and I could feel both of them. And
Hmm.
then there's been quite a bit of um, things kind of like glitching in to my sight. And so that's one thing, but I can also feel the energy of it. And
Yeah.
you mentioned about the elementals, and I've had a few encounters over the years. I'm not one that has like consistently, but I've seen them and I've heard them, and even worked with them a couple times years ago. But I've seen some lately. Like I see them fairies flying by me. I'm like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
because I know what that was, and I know their energy is very much like you said. It's like here I am, and here I'm not.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean, like playing little games. But I've also
Yeah.
heard other people talking about this. People that I would say that had less of these experiences, like myself. I might put myself in that category, although I don't know if I fit in it. But I certainly know women that it's really just a common daily occurrence almost for some women. So it's like that part is coming up. But the other thing I think too are feel, because there is a yin and yang to everything. I have a very strong connection to the organic and a very strong connection to what we might call the inner earth or the inner
Mm.
planes, which could, again, it's just a symbol, right? And I feel like that's coming out now too. Some people have been talking about, oh, the masculine's coming, and or the masculine in us is coming, the true masculine or whatever. But I really feel like it's coming from that, like from the ground up, like from the root, the core of the
Mm.
earth or the heart of the
Mm.
earth or something like that.
Hmm. Well, that's amazing. It's amazing you say that actually, because I've been linking in with a Lemurian guide who has talked about the inner earth a little bit as well,
Mm,
and saying that people are ready to open up to that connection, and it's happening. They're kind of like it's a dimensional space. It's not a physical
right,
place,
right.
you know, but it's there.
Yes, yeah. And see, that's what another thing that's always intrigued me is, so you have, and many of us have these memories. like the Orion Wars, or Reptilian, or Pleiadian, or Andromeda, all that stuff, right? And then you have, of course, the kind of the physical presence of it, or potential of it, in this awake state in this realm, on this planet, you might even say, or the solar system. But
Mm,
this that you're speaking of to me, and when you said that at the very beginning about some of those guides said we're really not from anywhere, we're interdimensional. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like my roots. It feels like, because I remember, like, when I first woke up or reawoke in 2011, it would be for weeks as I would go into meditation or the visions would come. I was literally, running or traveling up these tunnels to get to the surface. And
yeah,
yeah, so, but I was going to ask you too, because you're in New Zealand, right?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
do you know Nikki Hammond? Do you know him, Nikki?
I've really been quite isolated over the last few years.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, I get that.
yeah, I wouldn't. But the
He's
name
he,
rings a bell though.
yeah, yeah,
I think
you would
I've heard.
recognize him. Yeah, you would
Yeah.
recognize him. And him and his wife, Glenn Ray, she transitioned earlier this year, and they're probably in their 80s. He's been around a long time. You'd recognize him. But anyway, the reason I bring it up is because he lives over there. And like you, I got the call to reach out to him, and we hadn't done a show in 6 years. And we probably did 12 or 15 of them in the early days. But before his wife transitioned, he actually almost transitioned. And he went into, because we did a show a month ago. And so he was telling me that he went into the hospital, and I guess he went like into a coma, and he went out of body, but he never left the hospital room. And the whole time he's having a conversation with these guides. And so I guess he decided to come back. Uh, and he said, just tell me one thing. Uh, I want to serve humanity while I'm here because I love humanity. What do you want me to tell them? And the guides told him, which is kind of what I picked up from you at the beginning.
Mm,
And the guys told him, tell them to call on us. Tell them that we're ready, and but we have to, we have to be given the green light because
mm.
we're here to you're not alone and you don't have to do it by yourself. And that's kind of what I was picking up from you. I don't think you said that exactly, but something to that effect. Does that resonate?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We're not alone, and we have so much support there. Um, if we'd
That,
only just be open to receiving it, I think is the key to
that's so funny that the soul cat. I have a hard time
I
calling them
know
cats.
they
Yeah.
know whenever,
Sure they do. Sure they do. Well, see
I've
what's
got
so fun.
four of
What's so
these.
crazy is I ended up kind of just by chance uh doing a house sit here in Mexico. And hello. And I've never had a pet. Okay.
Yeah,
And so I'm house sitting and pet sitting for two soul cats because I can't call them cats because I know they're not just cats, right?
yeah,
And so I've never been an animal whisperer, but I've communicated with animals and they love me, you know. But this I came in here and there was one male cat and one female cat. And we went through quite a few things and they started talking to me, particularly the female. And I could hear her. And yeah, then I started to see, kind of like the way they could actually see energy and track energy
yeah.
and
They're
communicate.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're playing a much bigger role in this whole thing than we think.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right there. Yeah, they're really switched on to energy, and I think quite often we underestimate the animals that are on the planet and the other sentient beings. You
Hmm.
know, they're a lot more intelligent than we give them credit, I think, you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. I've said for years we're probably the low species on the totem pole. We just think we're the
Hmm.
one. We think we're at the top.
Yeah,
We're
we think
actually at
we're
the
at the
bottom.
top, but we're not.
They're all looking at us, going, "We humans, hurry up!" And
Yeah.
it's funny because one of the things this female of cat said to me over here, she said, as I was, you know, starting to have the experience with him, I thought, am I just, messed up? Or, how you doubt yourself when these type of things happen. And she said, no, here's the thing. Look, treat us for what we are, not what you look, not what like what you see. In other words,
Mm.
don't treat us like we're just a cat or an animal.
Yeah,
Treat
they're a
us like
being.
this the soul
Yeah.
that we are. Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh wow. So then the relationship just kind of changed and became more, well, like it would be, when you sit down and connect. I mean, it's not saying that's the only thing you do with them, but it makes it a whole lot easier to see, what they're saying or, that type of thing. But it's been interesting. That's why I was giggling when I heard that one.
They love the energy too. They're always around
Yeah. Yeah, I've
when they
noticed
can
that.
feel
Even with
it.
dog, even doing shows something with dogs, sometimes it'll happen. And kids occasionally. Well, yeah, thank you so much for this nice and comfortable, relaxed, peaceful transmission and sharing. Like I said, I just did it off of instinct and intuition. And, I don't know if I'd even come across you. You haven't been on social media, and I haven't been on all the time either. But I just I got the nudge, and I thought, go for it. So I really do appreciate it. It's great to catch up with you, and I just wish you, a healing peace, loving grace, comfort for you and your family, and you know, blessings of peace and grace and love for all of you, and and everything that you're getting into and headed towards.
Thank you. Thank you. And love and peace to you too, Todd. It's
Mm,
lovely to be here.
thank you very much, and I'll see you on this side, the other side, or hopefully I'll see you on both.